What is up? My name is Matthew Makak. I'm also known as Melissa Makak. Pronouns are he and she. And I'm coming at you with a top 10 wacky games list. I've ranked these games based on how much I like the game in conjunction with how good the wackiness of the game is incorporated into the game. That also brings up the fun factor of the game. I think that makes sense, right? Yeah. So usually I'm sitting on a game chair. If you've watched any of my other episodes on the Dice Tower, I thought I'd change it up a bit and sit on a couch that's comfy for a wacky games list. And there he's at it, number 10. My number 10 is a game that's mostly on this list because of its theme. The mechanisms aren't necessarily wacky, but the theme is kind of wacky, and I'm talking about The Bloody Inn. The Bloody Inn is all about you running a hotel, but you realize that you can actually make more money in killing your guests and stealing all the money they have on them. Ridiculous, wacky theme, love it, okay? And it does not take itself seriously, which is fantastic. But this is a really good game where you are trying to figure out, like, okay, when should I, bury the bodies, kill them, or, do I take the card into my hand and use their special ability later, or things like that, right? It's actually an economic game because at the end of the game, you're trying to have the most money. That's really what you're trying to do. But there's also some push your luck mechanism in there where it's like, if you don't bury the bodies that you've killed and the cop is coming, you can be, caught, which is not good, and then lose a whole bunch of money, and it's just bad. So you wind up trying to either you wind up killing the cops that are coming, or you try to purchase them, or whatever it might be, right? And have them an accomplice to your crimes, I guess. It is, I know this sounds really horrible, right? This is, but like I said, it does not take itself seriously at all. It's a really kooky kind of game, and that is my number 10, The Bloody Inn. Did somebody order a number 9? So my number 9 is a game that is super frantic, and that's really what makes this game wacky, because you are trying to do a whole bunch of things cooperatively with not a bunch of other people, up to 3 other people, and I am talking about Kitchen Rush. So Kitchen Rush, you are maintaining a restaurant and you're trying to gain prestige and all that sort of stuff, and just make your mark on this city. I don't know what you're doing. You're making a restaurant is what's going on. And you're trying to run it where you are, and it's all real time based. So you are cooperatively trying to, there's sand timers and they act as your workers, and you're placing them around, you're getting orders. You're trying to fulfill those orders. You have to run to the supermarket. You got to get the spices out of the bag that acts kind of like a cupboard when you're trying to look for the spices. Where is the salt? Yeah, this game is just so much fun. It is very hard to beat, I have found. Even on easy mode. I don't think I've beaten this game on easy mode with my friends and family. So it is very difficult, but the wackiness comes in from I need to go here, I need to wash this, I need to get this, blah, blah, blah. Where's the freaking carrots? Why didn't anybody go get carrots? I thought you were getting carrots, Eileen. So that is my number 9, Kitchen Rush. Number 8 is looking good. They're coming on down. Number 8. So my number 8 is more a little bit of a dexterous game. So it's got some dexterity in it. Yeah, I would say it is. And you're doing sort of science experiment things. And I'm talking about Dr. Eureka. I feel like Dr. Eureka does not get enough love. That game is hilarious and awesome and so much fun. You have these marbles, right? And you have to, so a card comes out and you have to create that configuration with the marbles in terms of color and everything. So you have these tubes and you're trying to form it, right? So it acts a lot like a lot of apps that you'll see where, it's oh, how do you do this? Except you're racing against your opponents, and you're kind of freaking competing against the components themselves, because I am so bad at this game. I am trying my best to do, and the marbles will just fall out of the tubes. And once the marbles fall out, you're out of the round, which is not great. But at the same time, you're trying to go faster than everybody else. And I'm just like, "Ah!" And then somebody inevitably is like, I got it, Eureka. I think you actually shout, Eureka, which is crazy. And fun and awesome. Like I said, I'm terrible at this game, but the wackiness really comes through for this game with those marbles and you trying to just like manage it and everything and do it as fast as you can without it all just spilling out all over the table and everything. So really fun time. That is Dr. Eureka. Yeah, number seven. It's looking pretty good. Number 7. My number 7 is a very mean game, and it has been around for a very long time. Well, at least it's been around longer than I've been alive. Let's say that. So this game pits you against one another, and I am talking about Survive, Escape from Atlantis. This is a hilarious game. First of all, the theme is ridiculous, right? Like you're these, I guess, adventurers who are trying to take whatever you can off this island and then like escape back to your little home island, I guess, right? And you're trying to take boats, or maybe you're swimming across, and people are trying to play mean things on you, like sharks and stuff, and just trying to stop you. And at the end of the day, what you're trying to do is each of your little meeples, they have a number on the bottom of them. And you are trying to have, at the end of the game, most of your meeples out, but then what really matters is the number under the meeple, like how much treasure. It's supposed to symbolize how much treasure that they each got. So whoever has the most treasure at the end of the game wins. And you are just trying to wipe out your opponents while also trying to get your meeples off that island and back to safety, so that way it's like, I got the treasure and you survived and you escaped from Atlantis. So I think that the wackiness comes in really from like the take that style of the game. This is not for the faint of heart. If you do not like mean games and you don't like take that games, this game is not for you. But if you are there for a good fun time and you don't care, it's like, you're throwing whirlwinds at me and I'm throwing whales at you, and I'm just trying to get my meeples into the boat, or maybe I'm swimming across, and there's that tension build up too. The wackiness really builds up that tension, like, oh, can I get my meeple out of here and like safe to safety and everything? Can I get that treasure? So I love that. I love the tension. I love the frantic hilarities that go on in this game. So that is my number 7, Survive, Escape from Atlantis. They're still waiting for their number 6 order. Number 6. So my number 6 game is another game where it's not for the faint of heart. It's competitive and it's very, like, there's bluffing, take that involved, and all in space with different powers because of whatever alien species you are. And I am talking about Cosmic Encounter. This game is phenomenal, and it is weird, and it is awesome, okay? This game, so you are playing as some sort of alien species, and essentially you're trying to take control over, I believe it's 5 different planets. And the way you do that is with this deck of cards. And you draw up to, I think it's 10 cards in your hand, and you're going to play cards. Now, the trick is with this game, you don't quite know who you're going to target because there's this fate deck that tells you you're targeting the yellow player or the green player or whatever, and you don't quite know what everybody has in their hand, especially at the beginning of the game. And you can, so you could like negotiate with people, right? Like you could say like, let's just negotiate, let's be calm, let's be cool, and then boom, you backstab them and you take over their planet. And it's like, what the heck? So the wackiness really comes through for this game, for me, in terms of, like, you don't even get to choose who you're going to target. And then the hilarities of, like, just what cards you have in your hand. You don't get to choose what cards you have in your hand. Like you're just there trying your best with whatever you have, and you're trying to manage your stacks of little spaceships, I guess, that actually stack on top of each other, which is really cool. It's that's a lot of fun. And this game is just so much fun for me, where you're trying to negotiate and you're calling each other out on their crap, and it's just so funny to me. I don't know. I just find this game so funny, but also like the game itself is so good. I don't know what it is. Like it on paper, it sounds like this game would not work. That this would be a terrible game. And some people, I think, do feel like this is a terrible game. Although this game has been around for a very long time. I think this game came out in the 70s, way before I was born. And so it stood the test of time, so it's done something right, although it's gone through a whole lot of iterations. I think I have probably the newest iteration from Fantasy Flight. Maybe they've come out with a newer edition. I don't know. I think they're always coming out with new editions. But there's tons of aliens that you could play with. I mean, so many different combinations. One of the things I love in this game is that you pick out a random card at the beginning of the game for setup. And it tells you, based on how many players there are, which aliens should be played together, which is cool. So it like balances each other out. So that way it's not like, oh, this alien can't be stopped because none of our aliens' powers do anything to prevent that. It's not like, it's like, okay, how many players are playing? These are the aliens that are getting played, and everyone is against one another, right? Where like it works in terms of there's no power spike or anything like that, or power advantage / disadvantage, I guess is what I'm trying to say. So that is really cool. I really like that, especially because there are just so many aliens, and this was a way for them to keep it balanced. So that's really cool. And then just you having a good old time trying to get your planets, and it's always shifting and everything, and the backstabbing is crazy. I mean, oh my gosh. So this game is a lot of fun. So that is my number 6, right? Yeah, number 6, Cosmic Encounter. Number 5 will get you. So my number 5 is a re-implementation of a game that was old and almost forgotten, right? And I never played the original, but I know that there's a lot of people who did play the original. They loved it, but the game was actually kind of terrible. And they played it for the component value, I guess. Not value, but the fun mechanism that the component had. And it was restored by Restoration Games. I'm talking about Fireball Island. It takes up the whole camera space. Fireball Island is, I mean, if you just want to have a good old wacky fun time, this is a game for you. You have, especially if you start adding in expansions where it does even more craziness. It adds more craziness and wackiness to the game. Oh my gosh, this game is so much fun. But essentially, you are a tourist, I guess, who has decided to go to the most dangerous vacation of them all, and you visit the island of Volcar, and it has this big towering statue in the middle, or I guess it's a volcano. I don't know what it is. I don't know. But it shoots out fireballs, right? And so you're shooting down these fireballs down the pit of Volcar, trying to knock players over, and when you knock them over, they lose some stuff, and essentially you're trying to get the most points at the end of the game. And the way you do that is by collecting different souvenirs and different little, I don't know what they are, like little treasures. There's also like this gem that I think it's called like the Gem of Volcar or something like that. But it's this red gem that sits like right next to Volcar. So it's hard to get to, and it's dangerous to get to because you're right next to Volcar, where anybody could kind of just like turn it, plop in some fireballs, and then you are down for the count. And what's really cool about this game is even when, if it hits you over, right? Like if the thing knocks you over, the marbles, if they knock you over and you slide on down somewhere, that's where you are now. It's not like, oh, I get to go back to where I was. Nope, you got knocked down and you slid down that lava pit or river or whatever. And so now you are where you are. And there's these bridges that are like, they could collapse and things. And there's this ladder that you could go up and that could shake and you could fall. It's awesome. I mean, and then if you add in other expansions, like you could have like bees coming down. There's snakes that are, coming after you. There's a tiger that you get to like flick onto, into the, island, I guess, and like just try to, that has more of a dexterous, mechanism in it where you're trying to actually like get somebody, right? Like you're trying to flick it onto someone and hopefully, knock them over. And then also as you're going through, you're running, and if you hop over someone, you could steal some stuff from them, like the gem, which is worth the most points in the game, which is really cool. And then you're trying to get off the island as quickly as possible and safely. That way you can actually maintain all the souvenirs you got, and you get to choose from the Maw Volcar or whatever. And maybe you could get like the souvenir penny and everything like that. I actually, if you go to a convention, Restoration Games is usually there where you get to put a penny in and, do that like rolling thing, and it actually comes out for the penny, and you could switch it out for the cardboard penny that's in this game. So I use that. That's really cool. But yeah, so even without the expansions, you don't need any of that to have a really good time with this game. It's all card driven, where you have 2 cards in your hand and you decide which one you want to use in terms of like what you're going to do. So it'll say like how many spaces you get to move. And then it also tells you like, do you get to like turn trees around to make sure that you're more defended, or like, do you get to erupt Volcar, and throw fireballs down. And oh man, this game is just so much fun. I love it. So that is my number 5, Fireball Island. Yes, can I get a number 4, please? My number 4 is a game, again, that I don't think gets a whole lot of love, or enough love, I'd say. But it is silly fun. It's a cooperative style game with up to 4 players, and I would say that it is best at 4 players. I'm talking about Slide Quest, okay? This game, so you're each holding like a lever, right? And you're trying to maneuver the board, right? And you've seen these things at like arcades and everything where, you're trying to like maneuver the structure to get like the ball through the Slytherin, I don't know. This is not Harry Potter. And you're trying to get the ball into the hole or whatever. Same thing with this game, except it takes it to like as though you're in a video game and you're moving this little knight around the board, and you're trying to maybe get some hearts along the way, or you're trying to get enemies into certain holes, and you're trying to get your knight to the finish line. But you don't want to fall through the holes yourself, because then you lose life, and you're trying to go through levels. I think the highest level is 20. We have not made it to level 20, I don't think we've made it to level 20 even, let alone beat it. So this game is a lot of fun. I have my brother Justin yelling like, we need a little sauce, we need a little mustard, a little less on the mayo. And it's like, what are you even talking about? But essentially what he's trying to say is like, left, right, up, down, and he's trying to take control. So there can be some quarterbacking, but actually it helps in terms of like, we need to go this way or whatever. And somebody's almost like directing the ship, and you're just trying to make sure that you're doing your part, whichever lever that you're using. It's like, and you're trying to make sure that the knight is okay and it gets to where it needs to go and does the objectives it needs to complete, which is really cool. So the wackiness in this game really comes from just everybody trying to move this thing, the board itself, to get this knight that's like rolling around, trying to knock villains off, and you getting on the path to victory. And so that is my number 4, Slide Quest. Number 3 has always been a good number to me. Number 3. So my number 3 is another cooperative style game, and this is one of my favorite games of all time, actually. This is a real-time strategy game, and I am talking about Magic Maze. Magic Maze is crazy fun. So you are you don't actually control any of the pawns, I guess. You all mostly control like a movement that you can do. Whether it's like you can move pawns left, or you can move them up, or you could move them right and use the escalators, things like that. The theme behind the game is wacky too, because it's like you are a barbarian, a dwarf, a wizard, and an elf. And you've all lost your weapons, and now you're going into this magic mall, I guess, that is maze-like, and you are trying to steal back weapons that you need, but you have to like avoid security guards, and you have to like I said, it's real time, right? So you're actually on a timer to get the things that you need. But you can actually stop the time when you like land on certain spaces, and you can use special abilities. Like you can, if I'm the person who gets to teleport, I could teleport people to different areas of the board. And essentially what you're trying to do is like get the orange pawn to the orange space, or you're trying to also, it's an exploration type of game too, where you are getting like the orange pawn to where the orange little like magnifying glasses, so that way you could actually flip over the next tile and see where it is. So you're trying to figure out where the weapons are, get them, and then figure out where the exits are so you can get out. And what's really cool about this game is it starts you off slow, right? So you go through different scenarios. I think there's 10 scenarios, but there's like 5 different scenarios that really teach you more and more rules. So it starts you off very like, you just got to go and do this, right? But then as you progress to the next scenario, things get a little more difficult, which is great for like, if I want to play this with my family, I can, and we'll just play scenario 1. And then once people feel comfortable with that, cool, we could go into scenario 2 and add just a little bit more zest to the game. So that is, I really like that. And it didn't make it like a legacy game where it's like, oh, it's really just teaching you the rules. It's like, hey, yeah, we're just going to introduce it to you through scenarios, which I like. It's not... It acts like a tutorial, which is really cool. So this game could be as complex or as easy as you want it to be. The wackiness comes from just everybody trying to figure out where to go and everything. I forgot to say the most important part of this game. You can't speak. You cannot communicate with each other except for this red pawn, which adds to the wackiness of the game. The red pawn, if you're like, yo, Eileen, we need you to use your up direction. And so I put the red pawn in front of her, like, and then Eileen is like, I don't know, or a lot of times it's me. They put the red pawn in front of me, and I'm like, I don't know. And so I have to like look at the board, like, what do you all want me to do? And then usually it's very obvious what they want me to do after I've thought about it and wasted everybody's time. But anyway, that is my number 4. Wait, is that my number 4? This is my number 3, Magic Maze. Number 2 for me and you. So my number 2 game for this wacky list is a game that I actually recently purchased, fairly recently, and we have been having an absolute ball with this game. This game is such a blast. It is a dexterity game, and I am talking about Rhino Hero Super Battle. And this game, so you are building up these towers that can interconnect and everything, and you're rolling dice because you each have this little mini, or I guess a meeple, and you're some sort of animal like a rhino or an elephant, giraffe, whatever it might be. And that is your hero, right? So you are trying to get them as far up the tower as possible. And if you are the highest person on that tower, you get the highest person on the tower circle thing. And essentially what you're trying to do is, so if you are the highest person on the tower, so you have this token saying like, yes, I am the best, right? If somebody else makes the tower fall as they're placing their card or whatever on top, you win, right? Now, if you're the highest person on the tower, but you're the one to make the tower fall, everybody else wins. So that is really cool. And you have like these hand of, I guess, cards. They're really long little cards, and it tells you what you get to actually place into the tower, right? So it might say like two small little towers, or like a big and a small, or tall and a small tower, or whatever, and you have to place them. And then with that card that you just play, you play it on top of those two pieces, or the one piece. Sometimes it's just one piece that you're playing, and you place it on top of that one piece. Sometimes it has a monkey that you have to hang from it, and then later on in the game, when there is no more monkeys because I think it comes with like 5 monkeys, and there's no more monkeys to like hang onto the thing, so you have to take it from somewhere off the bottom of this structure that you've been building. Take it off the bottom and put it on where it needs to go. It is insanity. This is one zany type of game. And if you're both on the same level, so you roll the die to see like how far up the structure you go in terms of levels, or sometimes you get a -1 and you actually move down a level, which is terrible. But if you get on the same level as somebody else, a super battle occurs where you're both rolling the dice. And what I really like about this one, the way battle works in this game, if you are the one who just moved to that level, you're the attacker. So you get to roll the red die, and the defender then rolls the blue die. Now, the blue die only has odd numbers on the die, whereas the red die has all even numbers. So the red player, the attacker, has an advantage in this game because you can roll a 6 as your highest number, whereas the blue player can only roll up to a 5 as their highest number. So it's interesting. I like that. I like that mechanism there. This is not a game to be taken seriously, for sure. I mean, because there's a bunch of rolling of the dice. It's very chaotic in terms of who's up top and who's not or whatever. It's really all about like, okay, who do we want to have the tower to make the tower fall, right? So it doesn't quite matter if you're the highest or not, because you could still win the game. So that's something that's really fun about this game. So yeah, the wackiness really comes in through, I think, the chucking of the dice, and just like how this game manages to work, where it's like Jenga, but so much more fun. And you're just trying to, you see like people trying to do really interesting, cool things where you're trying to like combine the structures together, because they could start off as like 3 different or 2 different structures, and then like you could combine them, and now they're there, and it's getting kind of wobbly, and it's getting super tall. I have to stand on a chair. I'm a very short person, so sometimes I have to stand up on a chair to like reach the top and whatnot. So that is my number 2 wacky game, Rhino Hero. It's the moment we've all been waiting for, folks. It is number 1. All right, we made it. Number 1. Okay, I told you all in the beginning, if you had to go to the bathroom, to sit down and hold it in. I hope you've been holding it in, but you're about to let it all go, okay? My number 1 is Galaxy Trucker. People either hate this game or they love it. And I think that's because of the wackiness of this game. This is one of my favorite games of all time, for sure. Like, in my top 5. It's got the space theme, which I love. It's got you making your own ship, right? And you're trying to... So it has this real-time element where you are flipping over tiles to see what you could add to your ship. And you want to add, like, missiles and defenses and... different like aliens to, boost up certain like attacks or defenses or whatever. You want to add thrusters so that way you could go far and beyond. And then what happens is, so you've built your ship to perfection possibly. And then you get to watch it just blow up. And people hate that. I find it hilarious. It is so much fun. I think that there is a lot more strategy to this game than people give it credit for sometimes. Some people see the strategy in the game, I think. And it is... Man, I love this game so much. You are trying to prepare for the worst, essentially, and you want to have a lot of your like astronauts on the board and everything, and then you go through, there's three different phases. You could do 4 phases if you want. I like it at 3. I think that the game lasts a good length at 3 phases. But you could go for the 4th if you like. And you're trying to pretty much survive and get cargo. Cargo is a huge thing because at the end of the game, whoever has the most money wins, or space credits, I think it's called. So you want to have that. And so the cargo is what's going to get you a whole lot of money at the end if you survive, and only if you survive. And then also at the end, you win for whoever has the prettiest ship, which is wacky because your ship gets torn apart and then you have to see like who has the prettiest ship. And the way you decide that is by like who has the least amount of like, I guess, pipes showing that are just like open-ended pipes and whatever. So yeah, this game is crazy. It is not for people who are not cool with seeing what they've created be destroyed, obliterated, just because that's what the cards said. You know, so yeah. And some people could get really frustrated by this game. I personally don't. I find it pretty funny when things happen to my ship. I don't take it that seriously. And I think that's the main goal of a top 10 wacky games list. Like, these are games that you shouldn't really be taking all that seriously. So that is my number 1 Galaxy Trucker. Thank you so much for watching and sticking on with me. If you stuck all the way through this list, thank you. You are amazing. I hope you all have a fantastic rest of your spring spectacular. I'll catch you next time.